Hello everyone and welcome back to another video. Today I'm going to be talking about why you should always open archers versus Goths, and I'm going to convince you all that this is the way to go. Yes, this is actually a serious video, not an April Fool's or some kind of joke, and I know about the Huskarl that is a mega counter to all things archer, and the Goths always want to go for their unique unit, of course. However, although this might sound like a dumb idea going archers versus Goths, it's actually not, and I would even argue it is the best way to counter the Goths in most cases. Let me go ahead and talk about my reasoning, and maybe at the end of the video you'll be convinced as well. So number one, archers always stop any kind of early infantry play. Going archers is the best way to respond to men-at-arms, and it's also the best way to respond to any kind of militia opening like Drush or like post-Madrush, whatever the case may be. And that is what the Goths really want to do. The scariest opening for the Goths is probably the men-at-arms rush, and if you're going scouts or your own men-at-arms, Goths will take advantage of you because the early discount on infantry is so strong for the Goths. Combining that with their extra hunt or longer lasting hunt bonus, they get off to a much better start when it comes to infantry play. And so if you're trading melee units against the Goths, you're gonna probably lose out on some trades in best case scenario, and in worst case scenario you'll get wrecked and get snowballed by their men-at-arms. And so opening archers completely takes away the infantry threats, and it's not that easy to stop men-at-arms with archers. It does take a little bit of practice, but it is by far the best opening, and a fast up archer opening will destroy infantry if played correctly. Now the second thing, like after the feudal age is over, you open archers, you stay safe, you push back their infantry, and let's say you just go even. Well, the next best thing is the expo timing that lets you hit Goths at their weakest point, which is an early castle age. You build up your archers using like a one range build, and you stabilize and get the castle age, and then you have like, let's say 15 to 20 crossbowmen. Well, you're gonna go out and attack the Goths player with those crossbowmen and hit them at their weakest points before they're able to kick into any infantry. Like even if Goths hit castle age at the same time as you and they want to go for their Huskarl, they still need to build the castle, which takes a bit of time, and so your expo has definitely a window to do some damage against the Goths player. And usually if you have a strong economy bonus civ, let's say Ethiopians that get extra res for example, you're actually going to do pretty well with getting to castle faster against the Goths. And so with that nice little timing in early castle, breaking into the Goth player walls, they can't make stone walls, so unless they're house walled completely, find a palisade wall, take it down relatively quickly with the crossbows, get in and start killing their villagers. This is fantastic. Now let's say like worst case scenario, the Huskarls are coming out right away. So you hit castle at a similar time, the Goth player makes the castle right away, and his plan is to get the Huskarl. I would even argue in this position, the expos are not even bad. You'll have a group of 15 to 20, right? He'll make 3, 4, 5 Huskarls. He'll need to get squires. That's probably all he can afford in early castle, given he's making the castle as well as some other defensive options like walls and whatnot. He won't have the economy to just start spamming Huskarls, right? So he'll make 3 to 4, maybe 5. He'll get squires. Well, as it turns out, your 15 or 20 expo can actually take out the first few Huskarls. Let's imagine best case scenario you have like 20 or 21 crossbows. You'll 3-shot a Huskarl with that group. The Huskarl has 60 HP. You do 1 damage a shot since it has 6 pierce armor. You'll 3-shot a Huskarl. So even if he has 4 or 5 Huskarls, your crossbows will actually win if you just hit and run and you kite back a little bit and take down those Huskarls. So he has to wait till he has like 8 to 10 Huskarl before engaging your crossbow mass, and by that time you can easily have done some damage and pulled back your crossbows, gotten out a couple knights or a couple monks, and you'd be completely fine against those Huskarls. So now let's imagine the situation where you go out early castle with your crossbows, you do some damage to the Goth player, he brings out the Huskarls looking to chase you back. Remember, he's invested into a castle, he's taken some damage, you can just run back with your crossbows. You'll have definitely an economy advantage now, because remember, we're only doing a little bit of archers, we're only going like one range, we're not adding anything to this strategy. We'll add 3 town centers right away as soon as we can in castle age, so we'll have a villager lead and an economy lead, since our opponent who invested into a castle which costs 650 stone, invested into all kinds of Huskarls to defend. All we have to do now is make some defensive monks or switch into a unit that counters the Huskarl. Now that we have the economy advantage, it's very easy to counter the Huskarl. Let's say he has 8 to 10 Huskarl, and let's even say, for sake of argument, that he clears up our expo. Let's say we were not a good player, we got cut out on the map, we stayed too long in the opponent's base, he cleared up our expo. No problem. We have the economy advantage now. We'll switch into a unit that counters the Huskarl, for example, longswordsman, maybe the knights, or maybe any unique unit you might have lying around, and we'll defend the Huskarl push with the better economy. And from that point onwards, the Goth player is really stuck. He has Huskarls, but you're not on crossbows anymore. He doesn't have a lot of economy. What does he do? He could try to catch up in economy, but that's gonna take a while. He could try to all-in push you, but he's not on the right unit because he's making Huskarl. He might have to scramble and switch to pike pikes or something like that. But again, that would take like 2-3 barracks, the pikeman upgrade. That's a long ways away. And so as you can see, by opening archers and getting that crossbow timing and then switching into economy and another unit, we have completely checkmated the Goths. And this is why Goths in higher elo just don't really work out the same way they work out in lower levels, where the guy just freely gets the Huskarl and decimates the guy, his opponent, because he's just getting a free game. And so back to our scenario, right? You have 3 TC, you're booming, you're chilling, you mix in some monks, you pick up relics, convert the Huskarl when they come in, few knights to control the game, and then before we know it, we'll be up to Imperial Age and looking to destroy the Goth player before he gets to late Imperial Age, before he gets to a big population game. And this is once again where the Goths can be weak. The Goths player, his best choice is probably something like all in castle, spam out the units, try to regain the map, something crazy to try to make something happen, because if he doesn't do that, he is clearly far behind. He's getting outboomed, he's getting outpaced, and before he knows it, he might have a castle in his face with a lot of anti-infantry units on the field. And this is another weakness of the Goths that I definitely want to point out. The Goths are kind of one-dimensional, so if he does go for Huskarl early, he can't really switch into something else until Imperial Age. He could do knights, but he has no bonuses for it. He can't really go crossbows because, no thumb ring. It's a very big transition. If he didn't have any crossbows at that point in the game, he probably can't switch into it. So like at best, he has infantry, like pikemen, longsword, Huskarl, or knights, maybe knight light cav. At best, that's what he's gonna have in Castle Age. Mix in a few monks maybe. And so if you can just get some anti-infantry units, combining that with a few monks to push away knights and some infantry, you can basically do whatever you want to a Goth player in Castle Age. Of course, if the Goth player gets to like late Castle Age and can start spamming out a lot of infantry, they could definitely pose some threats. But if you have the right anti-infantry units, you're gonna be good to go. And then if you get to Imperial Age faster than the Goth player, then the game completely falls apart for the Goths, because what can they do? They don't have any transitions into like, late game skirms or hand cannoneer. They really need Imperial Age for the skirms or hand cannoneer to be like solid, to be, good against another guy's Imperial Age units. And so they are stuck in infantry, way too committed. You're going to be going to Imperial Age with anti-infantry, and you're going to be trying to kill the Goth player before they can react to your anti-infantry. They can't make a transition as easily as you could, because you had the economy advantage and they did not. Now, obviously, I played this scenario all out in my head, but think about it. I've played dozens of Goths games, both as the Goths and against the Goths, and in high level, this is kind of how they play out most of the time. And this is why the Goths player, although he has the strongest anti-archer unit in the game, still dies to archers just because of the different timings that the archer player will hit. Now, it's not all doomed, and just before I end the video, I'm going to quickly tell you guys what Goths players should do against this kind of opening, and what I would do if I'm playing against a guy who's opening archers. First of all, I would try not to open a big infantry play with Goths, because I'm aware that my opponent probably wants to go archers. Remember, this is high level AoE2. We are reading our opponent's moves and acting accordingly. So I will not go for the predictable meta approach with Goths, which is to go infantry. Instead, I will play something like scouts into skirms to keep myself with some early pressure, and then switching into skirms to counter the archers. This gives me a chance to get the Castle Age with elite skirm against their expo timing and delay the Huskarl push. This lets me add in 3 town centers earlier to match my opponent's 3 town centers. Then I can either decide to go into Huskarl or stay on skirm and monk, or maybe switch into a few knights to maintain the map control, and this forces my opponent to not have the chance to go anti-infantry right away. He doesn't know if I'm going to go infantry, and I can still play out a standard game. Now, the downsides to playing like that is that I'm not using any Goths bonus until the late game, so I could just easily lose out due to my opponent having the better civ, but at least I'm not dying to some anti-Goth strategy that my opponent is no doubt employing. It gives me a higher chance to survive until the late game, which is where the Goths truly shine anyways. Now, obviously, like I said, this is just one scenario. Games can go in all kinds of crazy directions, and there's so many different variables to consider that it's hard to consider all in one video. But this kind of like back and forth and high level strategy is what I find super interesting in Age of Empires, and I hope you guys have kind of understood where I'm getting at with this archer opening against Goths. Let me know if I've convinced you that this is the way to go, or if you'd rather just stick to something else and avoid archers altogether at the threat of the Huskarl from the Goths. Thank you so much for watching this video. As always, if you want more guides and videos to get better, check out my Patreon link down below. For example, on the Patreon, I have one range archer build that you can use to counter the Goths pretty easily, or I have the Gothsman arm builder all in there for you guys to enjoy with color-coded PDF and videos. And if you guys want to see my live stream, check out my Twitch link in the description below. But until next time, guys, like the video, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Take care and peace.